Hey guys, welcome back to the Giovanni Show. Today we have on George Tarlas. What is up, man?
What's going on, my man? How are you?
Hey, I'm super excited to have you on. I was super excited when I got the email that you wanted to come on, and I have been doing so much research, and you are quite the guy. I have watched some of your clips, and just the way that you hit people is like no other.
It is. I mean, that's why I like football. You get to hit people and not get in trouble.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. So, my first question for you is what was it like growing up in Greece?
it was different. Like the culture is different. We will go out when we're 13 and socialize and drink coffee. Coffee shops and things like that. Play card games and like the social life was super different. But for me, I was mainly focused on sports, and I was playing basketball and karate when I was in Greece. So I didn't really get to go out as much. I was more focused on playing the sports. But to live in Greece, it's a lot different. Like you could go to the beach, you can go, sand out with do a little tanning, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. It sounds awesome.
Yes, it is. We gotta go someday.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll have to go together.
Okay, I'll show you the good spots.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
Uh,
so what has it been like transitioning from Greece to the United States?
Uh, well, I had to learn English. I had to be, fluent with the language, but it was I don't know, like I had family around most of the time, so it was never something extremely hard. I always had the support that I needed, but other than that, like there was definitely a culture shock, you know. Um, but it wasn't necessarily the hardest thing I've dealt with in my life. So it really has taught me a lot of things, though, how people are different, they think differently, than people in Greece. So I'm changing at the same pace that I need to adapt to this environment.
Yeah, and you talk about a cultural shock. My next question was actually, what are some of the cultural differences that you've noticed since being here? What have you noticed that's different?
Um, One of the main things that always bugs me is fresh cooked food. You know, you don't get that in America unless you make it at home. If you go out, you risk to eat a processed apple from a processed tomato. Like in Greece, the flavor of the food is just so phenomenal that once you change that, you can feel it, you can taste it. Your body doesn't want it. um, what else? We got the culture shock for food, and going back to the socialization, like being able to go out and hang out with people without having them to be on their phones, go play soccer on an open field in the middle of the day. That's how I grew up, and I haven't been able to see that out here as much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it low key sounds like a better time in Greece.
It is. I would agree to that. It is.
Um, so the next question I had for you is how excited are you to enter the NFL and enter the league?
Dude, it's so exciting that so unfortunately I had an injury, right? I hurt my hip, and it never let me down. Like I was focused on my goal so much, and I was so excited to be able to walk again and be able to run again and train for the NFL. And just that opportunity, being a person who came from Greece and playing in the NFL, like I can go back and brag to all my friends about it.
Yeah,
So it's super exciting.
I cannot wait to see you in the league. Just watching your highlights and watching the clips of you just dominating everybody that you go against and you completely just hitting them. I cannot wait to see that in the league.
Yeah, I'm excited. I just gotta be patient now. I gotta keep my head down and follow the process.
For sure. And you talk about that injury. That's kind of I can really relate to that cuz I just had a knee injury.
Oh
Um
no.
I knew that I had problems with my left knee, but I went to the Super Bowl and I'm just on go the entire time.
Yes, sir.
I'm working, I'm running around the stadium doing all this stuff, and I get back to the hotel room, and my knee is, like, so swollen, it's bigger than my head, and I'm
Oh
like, "Oh
no.
my god."
No.
So we went to the doctor, and now I gotta have surgery on it, but I was like, this was so worth it, like, I don't even care."
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. Like you gotta find the things that make your life worth it. And there's so many out there, especially football, you know? Like I got a question for you. How'd you end up getting into the podcast thing and things like that?
So basically, when I was, I want to say I was around the year of 12 years old, maybe 11. I was like, I just want to start a podcast. I've been doing some videos on the Eagles, my hometown team, when I lived back in Philadelphia. Now I live in Indiana. But I was like, I just want to have this kind of outreach to people and kind of start my career. I started it and it blew up, and then I started
That
getting
is
invitations to go on NFL Network, ESPN, stuff like that. And then I got the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, like I said, and I got to go in the media room afterwards and ask Jalen Hurts a question, and just an amazing moment. So
man, I'm jealous.
you'll be there soon. You'll be there soon.
That's awesome, man. That's super good. That's good for you.
Yeah, I can't wait to report on you making some big time plays out there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm coming up with a. I'm getting a highlight together now soon in the next week or so. So I'll have some good content out there.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna retweet that as soon as it goes out
Of course, I'll send it to you on Twitter on the message.
for sure. Um,
Awesome.
so what team did you grow up liking in the NFL?
So I didn't really got into the NFL until I came to the States when I was 16 years old. So when I started playing football and I started looking at teams, I really liked the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins. But I don't know, I kind of like the Vikings too. They have this, Minnesota vibe of being an unorthodox, really good player, like a physical player that's gonna go out there and get it. So it's yeah, to me, it's just being able to fit in a team that could represent you overall. Miami, Florida has all the same things that Greece has. It has the beach, it has the social life. It's beautiful, and I like the team. And then you have Minnesota. So
Man, that Minnesota team, you talk about that. They have a great organization, and the
oh
fans
yeah,
are electric. It can be like in the negatives, and all the fans will be there like doing the skull chant and everything, and it's just like wild.
yeah. Today actually here in Boise it was snowing, and I still took an ice bath outside. I was like, even if it's cold, it doesn't matter.
Right. Right. So what made you start playing football?
So technically, football was like a full sport in high school, right?
Yeah.
So after the summer, I was expecting to play basketball when I enrolled in the high school, and they told me we're not playing basketball until January, February, and I was like, what are we gonna do until then? And they were like, you could try to play some football, and you can get in shape, and it will keep you in shape, and you'll be good. And next thing you know, they were like, go get the quarterback when the ball snaps. And I was like, okay. And I did really good. I had 9 to 10 sacks that first year as a defensive end.
Dang. You went
just,
crazy.
just out of nowhere. And then the second year, I went to a different high school here downtown Boise, Bora High School, and I played middle linebacker. And my coach was like, just listen to the guy next to you. And so he would give me directions like A gap or big gap. And so I would just go full speed and go make a play. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So if you weren't playing football, what would you be doing right now?
I would probably be playing basketball, but let's say if I couldn't do sports, it would be like I like how the body works and what we're made out of, right? Like I like physiology, anatomy, and neuroscience too. And I don't know, I feel like there's so many things in front of us, like even in a philosophical way, right? There's so many things in front of us that we oversee, but it's the answer to a lot of problems that we deal with.
Yeah,
And so being able to help people who need help because they don't know how to see that and how to understand it, I would probably try to aim towards a career like that.
that's great. That
Yeah,
I think that that's the most in-depth answer I've gotten for that question here on the show.
of course. I mean, yeah, it's I do that on a regular basis still. Like I still do football and I still study and trying to learn as much as I can because education is power, knowledge is power. So to me, it's priceless to know things that other people don't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome because I know that the newer generations really don't take education that serious. And I've been really big on education my entire life. So to have someone like this on the show to talk to me about that is awesome.
Of course. What would you do if it wasn't for the podcast
I
based on education?
I would probably be a real estate agent.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like commercial or residential?
probably residential.
Okay. Would
Yeah.
you like to flip the house, take like an older house and flip it?
Yeah, that I would love to do that. That's actually what I plan to do part-time once I make it into the league and I can kind of be at like NFL Network, ESPN, something like that. I want to
Yeah.
start my own real estate agency.
That's awesome, bro. That's super exciting. Are you excited?
Yeah, yeah. My mom, I talked to my mom about it, and she's like, kids your age don't think about this stuff. That's crazy.
Nah. Tell her you're smarter than kids your age.
Right. So I wanted to know, once you join the league, what will you be doing like off the field for your community and stuff like that? Do you have any plans about doing stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the team I go as well. Like if you go to in the middle of California and being a rookie, right? Like it's kind of you're kind of new to a new environment, so I will have to be able to adapt to the problems around me to be able to help my community. But overall, I want to help, people with mental toughness. And if I'm able to do that at any team I go, I will do it. I just need to have the location and who am I going to go talk to, you know?
Yeah, that's really great because there's a lot of people out there who kind of need that reassurance that everything's gonna be okay.
Right. And I mean, it starts with ourselves, like being strong mentally and not being afraid of anything. Like that's if everyone lived like that, we will have a whole different society.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that we just gotta start thinking about that. I know I talk to my mom a lot and she's like, what do you want to achieve? And I'm like, I think I can achieve anything. There's no limit to what
Exactly.
I think that I can do. I want to do everything that I possibly can do. So
Yeah.
that's how I got here. So I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Yes, sir. No, you're doing a great job, bro. Like keep doing what you're doing. That's never, never short your dreams. Like And you can be capable of doing something that you haven't even thought about yet,
Yeah.
right? Like there's so many things that we could be able to do. Like there's no limits, like you said.
Right. And there's a plan for everybody, and I feel like everybody just needs to stop and think about that, that there's a plan for them in the end, and that they can ultimately achieve that if they just put in the work.
Exactly. Because that's when you learn, when you put in the work.
Right. Right. Um,
Yes, sir.
so I have one last question for you before we get off. Um,
Okay.
So I anti-bullying is a big thing for me, and throughout my podcast I want to include that into my podcast as much as possible. So I just wanted
Of
to
course.
kind of ask you, how in your opinion do we stop bullying for these younger kids at these younger ages?
I think that has to start from their environment, right? Like someone's personality is based on nature and nurture, which means their genes, right? And what they're taught from their parents or when they go to school. So, like when someone is struggling at home with, let's say, an abusive father or someone yelling at him, and he goes to school and then he wants to take it all out, right? Like you got to be able to focus on the beginning of the problem and not just put a stitch like on the problem. Like the problem are not the bullies, the problem are who creates the bullies. And that starts with the environment, having an abusive father or someone who yells at you all the time and telling you how to do things. Like that's that's part of discipline, but that's also unnecessary pressure to a kid that doesn't know any better. And then he goes to the school and then it's a whole chain. But if we're able to fix the problem behind the scenes, then we're not going to have a problem with the bullies.
Right. It all starts with parenting, and I feel like that throughout a lot of generations, I feel like some parents have been bullies, and then it just gets passed
Right.
on that this is how you're supposed to act, and you're supposed to act all tough in front of everybody. And I feel like
Right.
once we stop that narrative, then I feel like it'll be all uphill from there. Or
And I like what you said. It's generational. Like, even my dad would tell me, he had to walk 10,000 miles to school or whatever every morning, and deal with the farm and the goats and all those things, and he was always tough and disciplined. But if I was to do that to my kids, that's just passed on generation. But we have an opportunity for people our age, like you and me, for the next generation to make a change.
right, and I think that we can make that change very easily.
No, like I said, because it's generational. It's like making history. You can't just make history with one one day of doing something. It has to be a movement, a big group of people included to make that change. But like I said earlier, having that knowledge and power, it will not make you mad at the bully. You look at the bully and be like, I'm sorry you're suffering at home.
Yeah.
But you would say that inside your head. Like you understand that concept of, I'm sorry you're mad. I'm sorry you're upset. Like maybe that will hit them. They'll be like, huh, maybe I am mad.
Yeah, and I know that that's helped me through a lot of things too, is because I've dealt with my fair share of bullying in the past, and just trying to sit down with the person and be like, look, I don't know what you're going through, but I know that I'm kind of the outlet that you're using to take it out on me. But I
Right.
want you to know that instead of taking it out on me, we can talk about this.
Exactly.
Right.
That's so smart. I don't know who told you that, but that's super smart. Like that's exactly what they need, or and sometimes they might not be able to talk about it and they just want to go get that energy out, like go play something. Like you can invite them to go play some basketball or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you, Gio. I appreciate you. You're doing great, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.